So I got this clothing washer, I think it's a Bravo Maytag. And what it was doing was, when it was trying to wash cycle, now that's your wash cycle, and you can spin that agitator down below, but it was keeping itself shifted into the gear of rotating the entire drum, so you could hear this motor like locked up humming, so it was not doing its wash cycle. Well, so here's the device that drives the wash cycle, shifts the gears. It's a 3 RPM motor, so this rotates. Now I use my voltmeter to chase down the wires. Now you see the wires from the motor and which pins they came out to be. Now from the left, as you're looking at it, the first 2 left pins I measured the same, like they were connected together. So I took a cheater cord, 120 volt AC, and connected from this first one to the third one. Now I'm talking 120 volts AC, so fair warning, this is explanation only, and if you're going to try this yourself, you have to have an understanding of the dangers of 120 volt AC and all that. So you can just use this for information purposes only. Yeah, I wouldn't want anybody to get hurt. Now interestingly, as this moves, as I plug that in, this would cycle back and forth between high and low and just keep doing that. Now over here, there's a little tiny switch underneath on this circuit board here, so it would kind of like tell you whether you were at this end or that end. And these pathways do some kind of cyclical, it goes up and then it clicks over to, there's two pathways up there that this follows on. And evidently this must be your speed sensor, which goes in that hole. It straddles something that has slots. I can feel the slots with my fingers so that the light can travel there to get the speed of the drum rotating. Alright, so what did I do? I tested this out and it seemed to have a pretty firm, fair amount of torque to move that back and forth, so I figured, well, it's not broken. So what I did was I put some, I'm not saying this is the best choice, I squirted some of that into this place where this thing does its gear shifting. Maybe what I was thinking, it might have been hung up over the years when the plastic dries out. Of course, that leaked all out. Down, most of it just drained to the floor. Some of it got on this belt surface. So although that looks like it's got grooves in it, it's just a stain from the belt. That's actually a smooth surface, so it's fairly easy to wipe down. Now this is disassembled somewhat, so I took this little protective cover off. So this has a protective cover. Now this little hook is what holds it up. That's going to click in place in a minute. So it goes down in there to click in place. Let's try and get this all lined up. And, yep, there's the click. So now it's back on to protect the little delicacies. And this is plugged in. Now let's get the screws first. That one started there. And one more started at the bottom. Oh, and this has to go in. Oh, what? Did I just detect a jam? No, it's not jamming. It's alright, so this all may be futile because perhaps this gear changing mechanism in my left hand is maybe fine, but it just may not be getting a signal from the way on up yonder in the control board. What else did I do? So I didn't know if it was filling a bit high, but I took the pump off to check the impellers. They were not tore up. You see pennies and little screws will pass through here and get zipped on out to the exit if you're lucky. Otherwise they'll chew up the little impellers, and then even though it's running, it's just not going to pump enough to get the water out. This is your $500 special. When you take it apart, you can see how little $500 buys anymore. Oops. Getting ahead of the, putting the cart before the horse here. I gotta screw that down before and then make sure it goes in. Make sure that post goes into that plastic gear shift lever there. Well, it seems to fit into place, but all my screws fell out. I can't get one. Started down there at the bottom somewhere. And let's see if we can't find a. Might as well put the plug in. That's all that's down here is a drain pump tied to the actual thing that has these supporting cables. Of course, it's turned horizontal. So that's tied to your drum. Motor's on the drum, everything's on the drum. So you got this flexible water carrying tube, and it's so as the drum shakes and bakes, everything shakes with the drum. Let's get some light on the subject here. Right, there we go. Only I can get this in. So, wonders of modern technology. I'm actually using my camera here as we speak to see what I'm screwing. Screw what I'm seeing. So in other news, a gentleman watched one of my videos and commented. So I watched one of his and I learned some interesting facts about, you know, when you hyperventilate, you think you got too much oxygen. I guess the hyperventilation process just releases all of that carbon dioxide, and then that messes up the ability of the blood to actually get oxygen into the cells. So that lightheaded feeling may be because you actually have a lack of oxygen, because the mechanisms of carrying that oxygen to you is messed up by this lack of carbon dioxide. I haven't studied it completely, but I found that quite fascinating. I never knew that. Alright, of course, this has these one way that you can put them on, so can't mess that up. Now, if you're going to power that yourself to see if it shifts gears, you know, I suppose I could have just left that on there. But yeah, get your ohm meter out to tell if, you know, I forgot which end it is already. You better check stuff out with the ohm meter before you start putting a cheater cord on two of these pins. Otherwise, you might blow things to smithereens if you get the wrong pin at 120 volts. Alright. Well, one click. Don't look straight though. Well, I guess that's as good as it's going to get. We just got one click out of that one, dear. I'm going to wipe off any oil that, dripped on there. We're going to try to see if this thing is, yeah, you got your grooves or whatever you call it. Make sure it spins good. Alright, it definitely is in the agitator mode right now. Alright, let's get this guard back on here and give it a try. Alright, so what did I prove in this video? That I have a busted washing machine. I don't know what's wrong with it. I did not test to see if a signal is going to be coming down from above to swap that over. I guess that would be a lengthy process of figuring out where the 120 volts is coming down. I'm just sitting there and watching it during its operation cycles. Watching it with a voltmeter. You might want to rig up some sort of wiring, maybe up top. But I am not doing that quite yet. I'm just trying to see if I can find my wrench. Oh well, guys, I want to say goodbye. To summarize this video, this motor does two things. It's got two gear positions. Rotate the agitator or rotate the entire drum for the spin cycle. Of course, you want the agitator to go back and then forth and then back and then forth. And the drum, I figure you're just going to spin one direction. And my problem was it wasn't shifting gears, or it left it in the wrong gear, the drum spinning cycle, and so agitation was not happening. So we'll see if greasing up or oiling up to make it a smoother operation, that internals of the of this part did any good. It may have done some damage. Maybe a better choice is to spray some kind of dry lubricant in there, so you don't get like dry molybdenum, or maybe something that has a grease that, of course, anything is. Maybe it even damages the nylon. I'm not sure. However, that's the story.